The recipe for Sloppy Joes is a childhood favorite of mine because my mom used to make it. I wanted to recreate that recipe with something that was more, not only healthy, but in my mind, more enjoyable, more interesting. It's just a fun recipe to execute. I think it's an easy thing to do, especially for kids and a family. You know, it's just one of those things where you get a little bit of that homey quality and yet still a really fun recipe to enjoy with your family. This recipe is a classic Americana dish. We are making sloppy joes and we have lentils as our protein and we have a lot of veggies that we're going to include in here. Now the recipe says assorted vegetables, and that really is up to you what you have available. This is a great dish to do a little bit of cleaning out of the produce drawer in the refrigerator. So let's go ahead and start with the onion, trimming off the roots there and then trim off the stem end. I like to cut the onions in half with the peel still on. I find it's a lot easier to peel them that way. Take off that first layer of onion with the peel as well. Make sure that you get just that nice soft center. Dice those up fairly small. I like a small dice, which is about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. We really want small dice sizes on everything that we're going to cut up here. So cut this into panels first and then trim those into dice. Now if you were really in a hurry, it certainly would be okay to grab a food processor, but working on your knife skills can be handy as well. I have a zucchini here. We'll just dice that up as well. Very small dice. So since this recipe would be traditionally based on ground beef, having small pieces helps us to get that same type of texture in a finished sandwich. We also have our carrot and a sweet potato. I like to cut one side of the potato and then roll the potato onto that cut side because it keeps it stable on the cutting board so that it won't roll around when you're making your next cuts. And last will be the carrot. Now, typically with our mushrooms, I would want to trim the stems off of the mushroom. They can be a bit woody and rough to eat. You can't pop that stem right off. Really, it's just the caps, the tops of the mushrooms that we're looking at for this dish. We're going to chop them up, same as we have with the others. Walk right through them and chop them up. So now that we have all of our ingredients prepared with all of our vegetables cut, the lentils have been pre-soaked, everything else is measured out, we're ready to start cooking. So we have a hot pan. We're going to start with just enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan, and then we're going to saute our onions. Cook these just until they start to turn tender. Then we add our red pepper to that. Again, just enough to soften those a little bit. And then we add the chopped mushroom. As the mushrooms heat up, they start to lose a lot of moisture, and that can cool down the pan quite a bit. So I'm going to turn up the heat here, and we want to cook these mushrooms until some of that moisture has actually been driven off. We want to concentrate the mushroom flavor just a touch. You can tell that we're cooking off that moisture because of all the steam. Can you see me? All right. You can start to smell the mushrooms. You can certainly smell the cooking onion. That always makes a house smell like dinner's ready. What I'm looking for here is for a little bit of browning, some sticking to start happening on the bottom of the pan. Then I'll know that I've gotten rid of enough moisture and really gotten the flavor as intense as I can on the mushrooms and these other vegetables. So you see that we're starting to get some browning on the bottom of the pan here. That's our indication that we are ready to add the next ingredients, and that will be all of our vegetables that we've chopped up. We'll go ahead and put those right in and mix them in. We're going to add the flavoring ingredients that will help to make our sauce. So we have some ketchup, And that has a little bit of acidity to it, which is a great flavor enhancer. Tomato sauce. Some sweet type of barbecue with a hickory flavor to it. We have a vegan, vegetarian Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce. This adds the savory component to the dish. A little bit of brown sugar, and for spiciness, just a pinch of cayenne pepper. Or 2 pinches if you're like me and you like it a little bit more spicy. And we're just going to bring that to a simmer. There we go. I'm seeing bubbles coming up, so I know it's simmering. Now it's time to add the lentils and just enough water, about 3/4 of a cup of water for this recipe, to make sure that the lentils are completely submerged. And now we're going to turn down the temperature here on the stove. And we want this to simmer very slowly, very low heat for 45 minutes to an hour or so, until the lentils are very soft and all of our vegetables are very, very soft as well. All right, it has been about 45 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and check this and see how we're doing. And, oh yes, that looks great. You can see that most of the moisture has absorbed, but the best way to test this is what I call a tooth test. Grab a couple of those lentils and just put them in your mouth and see if they're soft enough. Yes, just perfect. They need to be soft but not falling apart. So we're just at the right spot. Also, we want to have a little bit of sauciness to this dish. So we do have a little bit of moisture here, and that is good. That's exactly what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and build our sandwiches and make a plate. All right, we have a Kaiser bun here. You want to really load up the bun a lot, put plenty of this on so that it's almost spilling out. There's a reason why we call this a sloppy Joe. It will definitely go everywhere. A traditional garnish for this meal would be some potato chip and dill pickle. Of course, you can do this in other ways as well. You could have some salad and some other garnishes. Whatever sides you like, this dish is incredibly versatile, so do it your own way. This is our sloppy Joe made with lentils and vegetables. Enjoy.